thought we'd give a little bit more in-depth conversation about creatine because it keeps coming up. And there was a recent review that was published the other day by Darren Candow, who is a premier creatine researcher. So we just thought that we would have a little bit of a conversation to explain some of the nuances about creatine supplementation.
I think a good way to start would be why and when did you start taking creatine?
I started taking creatine probably about 10 years ago, a little bit longer, maybe even that, when I was trying to build muscle back after some surgeries. And also trying to come back into a racing career and reading about it. So it's just kind of been the modernization, I guess, of getting muscle performance back. And then the more research that's come out about it, the more I want to take it for health reasons.
I started taking it because I was working with a women's rugby team, and it was always recommended to all the male athletes and all the boys, yet it was never suggested for the women to take it. I found out now that it's actually because the women's team didn't have a budget, but it got my brain thinking, and I was like, well, I will try and see if it's worth taking, how I feel, and then if I feel like I'm getting benefits from it, I'm going to start recommending it to my female athletes. So that was around probably 7 or 8 years ago, and safe to say now that I recommend it to absolutely everyone, regardless of their age or their sex.
Yeah, I think part of the complications that we see is how much, what kind, when do we take it, what is the dosage, because there's so much fear factor around it. To put it bluntly, creatine monohydrate is the most studied and recommended supplement across everything, and there's not a lot of regulation in the supplement industry, so research is where you really have to look for the efficacy. So if we're looking at creatine monohydrate, which is the one that's the most researched, you have a whole body of sport research, and now we have this emerging body of health research. In the sport research, we've seen all the way back in when it was first being studied in the early 80s and looking at the bodybuilding idea of how we can make the muscles swole. And we see that creatine is part of the energetic system, right? So we see that every fast energetic in the body, from the brain, the heart, the gut, the muscle, all require creatine as part of the fueling process. So the idea is if we load in creatine, then we have more capacity for muscle contraction and that fast muscle fiber action. So the bodybuilding idea was taking 5 grams 4 times a day with 20 grams of carbohydrate. And that's what enhanced muscle performance, but it also created this water retention. Because with carbohydrate, you can retain water, and with creatine, you can retain water. And the combination of the two is what caused the bloating. So that's where that first myth came from.
And when we're talking about water retention from both carbohydrate and creatine, a lot of people are thinking that it's like a slushy under the muscle water retention. It's not. It's actually like intra. So it's what's giving both of us our nice muscle definition in our arms is the intra water in the muscles. So it's not a squishy fluid on top or in our tummies.
No, it's part of the muscle structure itself. It's how we call it interstitial fluid, and there's stuff within the muscle cells that requires water, and that's the water retention. So when we hear people who are talking about, oh, my stomach hurts, or I have bloating, or I'm afraid of using it because of different side effects, this is where we have to look at what kind are you using? Are you using creatine monohydrate or the HCl version? And we have to see where it comes from and the dose relationship. And when we start looking really closely at that, we can eliminate all of those side effects that people are talking about.
When you say where it comes from, what do you mean where it comes from?
So, I mean, I always talk about CreaPure, and this is a B2B or a business-to-business product. So this is where I say any creatine supplement that you find that has CreaPure on the side, you know that it's super clean. What do I mean by that? So CreaPure is a German company, and it uses a water wash to create the creatine monohydrate. If we look at some of the other products that is not CreaPure, because that is patented, if we're looking at the cheaper versions that might come from China or some other countries, it's primarily the idea of taking formaldehyde and converting it to creatine monohydrate. So it's more of an acid wash, and we have the residuals of that can create the side effects that a lot of people are finding. Some people might be over responders to creatine supplementation, and this is where we see people who are taking the 1 gram dose is like, oh, I'm having really bad side effects. Are they an over responder to the supplementation, or are they somehow responding as a placebo? So those are things that we'd have to tease out. But in general, when we talk about the purity of the supplement, that is one of the first things that we see that removes that kind of bloating and stomach discomfort. And then we have to look at the dose relationship. We're looking at, why are we using creatine? Are we using it for muscle performance? Or are we using it for health? Or are we using it for shift work, jet lag, severe times of sleep deprivation? Those are 3 use cases. If we're looking for muscle performance, then we can bring ourselves back to the bodybuilding idea of, we want to have 5 grams 4 times a day. You're loading it specifically, then you're having a little bit of a washout, and then you're loading it again, knowing that it takes about 3 weeks for the body to become fully saturated to achieve the best performance. If we are looking at a health aspect where we're wanting to support all the systems of our body, including muscle, then we can look at that 1 to 5 gram dose. For people who are super sensitive and they're like, oh, I'm not sure I want to supplement, then I recommend start with 1 and work your way up to 5. Don't necessarily start with a 5 gram dose. If we're looking at what's optimal for health right now, we're seeing at the most 5 grams a day. When do you take it? Any time of day. You just mix it in with anything.
One thing that I want to preface is, we are talking about it is a supplement. Something that we do get asked about a lot is, oh, what's its effect on my kidneys, because of people that potentially do have a health risk or a health issue. And I would 100% go see your medical doctor, go get bloods done, get your kidney function tested, and that's for any supplement that you're going to take, because if you are taking a lot of supplements or a lot of medications, that kidney function is going to be affected. So it's something that we have to look at before you start layering on a whole lot of supplements.
Yes, specifically with creatine, one of the markers for kidney function is creatine, or
Creatinine.
And kinase, so CK and creatinine. And one of the metabolites of creatine supplementation is creatinine. That doesn't mean you have poor kidney function. It's just, okay, it's a metabolite that then comes out in the blood in a blood test, or in the urine in a urine test. So if you are someone who has been regularly using creatine, and then all of a sudden you go get your bloods or urine test, and your doctor's like, whoa, kidney function. Before you get your test, say, I'm also using creatine. That's why they say, what supplements are you taking? This is one you definitely have to write down, so that the interpretation of your results is through the lens of someone who's using a supplement that might skew the results. If you get the results and your doctor's like, whoa, what's going on? You say, I'm using creatine, and you need to figure out your kidney function. If it is a true effect, or if it's a side effect of the metabolite of the creatine, you taper off it. Get your tests done, and then see what's happening.
I did that. I just had to stop taking it for a couple of weeks and redo my blood test, and it came back quite normal. Yeah.
It's happened to quite a few people.
Yeah.
So Haley Babcock has also had that same thing. So we see it does happen a lot. And when people are not informed, they freak out. So
because it came back like extremely high in the red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, oh, what's going on? So that leads us into the next dose scenario, where people are now, oh, I need 20 grams a day.
Or the 10 gram, which is the sleep one that's going around at the moment, if you've had the poor sleep.
Yeah. So it's between 10 and 20 grams. The research that came out, and they were saying that it has the most effect on a brain that is tired. And what do we mean by tired? It means that metabolically it feels fatigued, so it's going through glucose a lot faster, because your brain is like, I need to keep going, but I'm tired. I haven't had enough sleep. I haven't been able to cleanse. I haven't had all that downtime. Its metabolism is elevated. And one of the things, again, like I said, the creatine supplementation helps with is metabolism and those fast energetics. So it is taken. So that's why they're looking at it now in the health scenario of how we can look at using creatine supplementation, not only for the sleep deprivation, the shift work, but also things like traumatic brain injury and other cognitive issues that we're seeing that are coming more and more prevalent in the health and disease states. So if we're looking at that 10 to 20 gram dose, you do want to take it across the day, not one big massive dose.
Yeah.
And also note that it's not necessarily an acute dose that you're taking. So if you're under severe stress and sleep deprivation and fatigue, one acute hit of 20 grams of creatine isn't really going to do much.
Okay.
Because again, it has to get into the brain. You have to saturate all the tissues. So there is a transient time.
So is it more like, if I know that I'm going to have a period of poor sleep, that I would start doing a loading phase for that?
No one's really looked at that.
Okay.
I think, like I said, Darren Candow is really into it, and his review that he came out was talking about cart before the horse. What are we doing for a dose-dependent relationship? And that's one of the questions that came up. Can we use it prophylactically?
Yeah.
And that research hasn't been done, but is probably ongoing. It just hasn't been published yet. From a logical standpoint, it seems like if you're preloading, then that's going to help. But I can't say definitively.
So one other thing that gets asked quite a lot is, obviously creatine comes from animal products from a diet standpoint. It's an amino acid, by the way. It's actually made up of 3 amino acids. And when we are looking at it from a supplement standpoint, it's actually made in a lab. So it is vegan and vegetarian friendly, which is really cool.
Which is why I can use it.
Yeah, it's just a fact that a lot of people don't know because they hear that is derived from animals.
True. And your liver makes 3 grams a day anyway.
Little weeny bit.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Not enough now.
That was a deep dive on creatine. I think we did good, friend.
There we go.